Get high, but you can't run. Yeah, and you just thought it was could not be stopped. Look, cause you were thinking you could not be got.
This is not a game. It's one a lifestyle of finer things. Hustling to come up on designer chains. Diamond rings. Grinding on the daily, I could try this thing. This is not a game.
Wait, is this thing on? Man, I done forgot already, man. I'm pushing 50 years old. Y'all don't even fucking remember. Like, anyway, everybody knows I'm the host of the Greatest F.O.E show, where we intertwine the cultures of hip hop and pro wrestling. As you can see here, I figured I'd do a little bit of a recap of 2025. I mean, this was a very, very crazy year. I was talking to my wife this morning. There was, how do I say this? It wasn't really no gray area this year. You know what I mean? 2025 was full of very extreme highs and some extreme lows. Suffered a lot of loss, unfortunately, but we also, gained a hell of a lot of experience. A lot of opportunities and a lot of connections were made for the Greatest F.O.E show, for me personally, as a entrepreneur. So as I said, barring, sharing a lot of my personal life, because I do have a wife and children and family that, if they want to share certain things, they're more than welcome to do so, but they're not here to speak, on their behalf. So I won't share that. Right. But as I said, it was a crazy year. We're not here to talk about me personally, right? What we are here to talk about is the year of 2025 when it came to hip hop and pro wrestling, which is what the very fabric of this show, is. As you can see here, we were, what was this? This was October of 25, where we had a hosting gig at the Sneaker Ball Charity Classic, which is what Mr. Kenny Gaines, UGA legend, who he put the event together and ultimately curated by our brand manager, Mrs. Kiana Alexis Cook. So Kiana had us, she pretty much just told us what to do. We were just like, yes, ma'am. Yes, fairy godmother. Whatever it is you want us to do is what we're going to do. So, but yeah, she has been an absolute blessing, and apparently she's got a lot of great things ahead of us for, 2026. So of course, we're looking forward to that. Right here, we had a little bit of time with Miss Renee, the mogul herself. Right here, we got some footage here with the founder of the View magazine, publisher and founder of the View magazine, Mr. Brian Colvenaire. There he is. Yeah. Nice little setup, a little bit of impromptu. We got some live interviews happening over at the Sneaker Ball Charity Classic, which is really cool. Brian there showing everybody the View magazine, which is really, really fucking cool, by the way. But yeah, I mean, who knew, man? This guy's a hip hop head and a pro wrestling head. It's crazy, man. It's crazy the type of shit that, we ran into, this year. We had a very, very successful, hip hop week, hip hop 52. As you can see here, we had the legendary Ace, one of the super legendary Outsiders crew, for the Where is the Rap Group session. Yeah, that was really cool. I mean, we've done all kinds of stuff, man. Look at this right here. Yeah, I know it looks crazy. That is my co-host, Hugh Hefner. And I'm just sitting there answering the wrong questions, but don't mind me. But yeah, we have a segment, for the Greatest F.O.E show that was introduced this year called "The Kais is Right," where this fool here, Mr. Hugh Hefner, is together with participants of his choosing, and he actually 10 questions, 40, whatever the hell it is. This fun is entertaining, but it's all going to be hip hop and wrestling related. If y'all want to go check that show out, it was really cool. G1, Rich versus Black. It was 40 questions of legendary difficulty hip hop questions where even us are the super hip hop connoisseurs. Yeah, we didn't get a lot of this shit right. But even fast forward, kind of most recently, where we did The Art of the Unusual. This was an excellent counterparts episode. As you can see, we had Mr. Chief Valley, Pumpkin, me and Q Hefner talking about the legendary careers of Gold Dust and Andre 3000. Yeah, yeah. So let me just tell you, man, it was a hell of a year. We've done all kinds of crazy stuff, amazing things that we were very proud of. And we got a big year coming up in 2026. Let me tell you, man, I had the opportunity to go to AEW All In Texas in July, which was one of the greatest experiences of my life, right? And I was there with my brother Michael Wright, who is one half of the Fuck Y'all podcast with the super legendary CT Fletcher out in the West Coast. I also met my, greatest foe brethren, Mr. Matt Chappelle. Y'all know him as OG Matt from the town. Also as, I believe, is Gene Gray and Honey Badger's dad on TikTok. Yeah, the dude's got like 1 million followers, like it's insane. But he is also the newest addition to the greatest foe tree. So, and we also made an announcement where we are adding Mr. Chief Bally, God lyricist, former host of the Bally Hour. So yeah, we're just getting bigger. We're getting stronger. The community is getting bigger. Yeah, as I said, it's getting bigger and getting stronger every day. Every year. And as we're going into this new year, 2026, we're very much looking forward to the new relationships, so new opportunities, new connections. I had the opportunity to interview legendary WCW wrestler Stevie Ray. For people who are, I don't know, maybe the casual wrestling fan, you might be more familiar with his brother, Booker T, whom I believe is the greatest and most successful black wrestler of all time. Okay. They made the tag team up of Harlem Heat in WCW. So they're 10-time tag team champions. But after the WWF at the time, purchased WCW when it went out of business, Booker T pretty much jumped ship and became, signed over to WWE. And Stevie Ray decided to not do so. He told us on the interview, they definitely, asked him a few times to come over, and he chose not to do so for his own reasons. I would say if you're interested in finding out, you should probably watch the episode. He blessed us with almost 3 hours of interview footage. So Stevie Ray, if you're watching this, thank you so much. We appreciated your time. But not as a big OG Matt from the town says, because he believes like he don't know how you have a bad hip. Tony Schiavone. What Tony tell us, Matt? Tony said that he don't know how Stevie has a bad hip. He never took a bump in his life. That's crazy work, by the way. But anyway, yeah, man, I had the opportunity to, we interviewed Ricochet. I had a one-on-one interview with Nigel McGuinness, which then after that turned around, Nigel and Stevie Ray kind of interviewing me. I mean, it was really fucking cool, man. It was really fucking cool. Also, let's see what else happened, this year. Shit, man, we also had indie sensation Adrian Atlantis on the show. We had, man, who's gonna forget, this guy, fucking little Axel P creating Axel Mania back in, if I remember correctly, what the hell was this, March or April of this year? Flipping off the legendary Chris Jericho on national television, AEW Collision, which was insane. And I just, got into my Inspector Gadget mode, and I happened to find Mr. Little Axel P's dad online. And, we got to speaking as fathers, right? With children ourselves. And before you know it, we had him and his son Axel on our show. We were their first interview, which I thought was really fucking cool. So, Adam, thank you for allowing us to do so and entrusting us with creating a platform for you and your son and for your wife and his mom to know that, hey, this is a safe space and this is going to be a cool show for him and, and a good experience. So thank you for that. Fast forward over to August, we had our second annual hip hop week, which was phenomenal. 7 days straight, where we celebrate the birth of hip hop. We had we had all kinds of great guests on there, man. We discussed hip hop in Hollywood. We discussed what else? We had a whole show on the 30th anniversary of the Purple Tape, Come on, man. Y'all niggas know how much I love Raekwon's Only Built for Cuban Links. You know what I mean? And if y'all don't, I don't know what to tell you, son. Like, I mean, that is legitimately, I think, like Life After Death by Biggie Smalls, right? The notorious B.I.G. has always been my favorite hip hop album of all time. I believe it's the greatest. Man, over this last year or so, I don't know, yo, Cuban Link's been like getting closer and closer to solidifying that spot. You know, there's a lot of hip hop heads who say, you know, Nas, Illmatic, and you know, let's not get it twisted, my nigga. Like, if you know me, if you don't know me or whatever, I'm just gonna let you know. Nas is my favorite rapper of all time. Okay, so if somebody says, yo, Illmatic is the greatest hip hop album of all time, you ain't never gonna hear, you're never gonna hear me argue, right? But I've been, like I said, I've been holding hard on that stance with Life After Death for a long time. But over this last year or so, Links is, you know what I mean? Cuban Links. So, you know, but anyway, what else did we cover? We covered Where's the Rap Group, where I mentioned earlier. We had the legendary Pace One from the Outsiders click on there. We had an entire show. Shout out to my bros, Tony the Dome, and Kill 889 of Apartment 5B podcast, who helped me get on that show about the 1995 Source Awards. That was a great show, yo. Y'all gotta go check that shit out, man. That night was like a seismic shift in hip hop culture. You know what I mean? What else did we go? Then we had Chief Bally and Big Matt Chappelle on the Universally Accepted show, where we talked about, you know, those hip hop artists that are universally accepted by the masses as opposed to the artists that are not, you know. And then we even had, you know, the great Joya Owens, right? Who is a independent business strategist for a lot of indie artists. You know, it's not like her practices and what she says and shows and proves, by the way, wouldn't work for, you know, non-indie artists, but it's better for the independent artists who is just not making, you know, the money that they're supposed to be making, and she shows them how to do it. You know, she's incredible. But we had her and my wife, lovely wife, on the Who Runs the World episode, where we spoke about the females of hip hop. You know, so I mean, it was just a great week. It was a great week for Hip Hop Week. I mean, and just talking about hip hop. I mean, this year, 2025. I mean, I know we talked about the great events of WrestleMania Las Vegas, even though, you know, that's one of the worst WrestleManias in a long time, by the way. Show you had a couple great moments, but yeah, I mean, it paled in comparison to WrestleMania 40 in Philly, which is one of the greatest WrestleManias ever, right? But, you know, man, 2025 was not the year of hip hop. As a matter of fact, I don't know if y'all just getting sick of, you know, Pumpkin's big ass head sitting on a frozen frame right here. Can I just stop this? I feel like I could and just stop sharing, right? Maybe I know what I do. How about we switch, right? Get that shit out the way too, right? I don't know why I'm still on here, you know. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, global hip hop. Yeah, the global impact of hip hop and sports and fashion. That's also cool. You know, we got the 1995 Source Awards. I mean, I'm just trying to tell you, like, we was out here. We was out here. The great oncology. I'm sorry. Yo, Ron, Jeff, also known as Jeff, right? But Ron, one of my favorite episodes of the year, Pendulum Inc. You know, the great Mickey Facts, right? Yeah, this was a great episode. Um, you know, as he says, Trilla Jones, yeah, enhancing hip hop and mental health. Look at Diggs. Yeah, your man look like he got super C-Town Pathmark ShopRite bags under them eyelids. Yeah, I'm not doing him justice. Let me get him with his eyes open. Now I look like I'm about to go to sleep. That's crazy. This is a really bad episode to just kind of pause on. So bad. Yeah, so bad. Oh, look at this. Oh, we also did the Wu-Tang Clan versus the NWO. What a great episode this was. This was really good. So let's do a little pause on that. But anyway, the year 2025. As I said earlier, Nas, who's my favorite, favorite rapper of all time. Let me tell you, yo, it's not enough people talking about what Nas has done with mass appeal. And if y'all are living under a rock and y'all just don't know what the hell mass appeal is, it is probably, I don't know, your favorite rapper's record label and imprint, because this label is for us. It was made by us for us, on some Damon John Fubu type shit, right? But Nas is at the forefront of it. He's got a couple partners, but they created the Legend Has It series. And let me tell you, yo, I'm sorry, I was talking to, my brother who's also a part of our show here, the great Sound Oracle, how the year of hip hop releases in 2025, yo, dog, this is like the best year in like probably 25 years. And I'm not joking. We've had a couple good years here and there, over the last 5, 10, 15 years. But as a collective of continuous back to back to back, yo, I'm sorry. I mean, we talking like 23, 24, 25 years ago. We had, which is a lot of people's pick for, best hip hop album of 2025. Let God Sort 'Em Out by the Clips. Fam, like I said, I don't know what the hell y'all doing. If y'all haven't heard it, if y'all don't understand it, if y'all think I'm bullshitting because I'm stupid, then I don't know what to say. But the Clips, Let God Sort 'Em Out, is a 5 mic classic. Okay, and that has nothing to do with the Legend Has It series, by the way. That was just their own release. But before I even get back to what Mass Appeal has done, we had JID, JID's album this year. So JID is incredible. We're talking about an Atlanta rapper who is he has this universal appeal. He was featured on Eminem's The Death of Slim Shady album. It was on Fuel. Oh, that song is fucking incredible. Let me see, off the top. I mean, I know I'm going to miss a lot because there's a lot of great albums that came out this year, but Mobb Deep, Infinite. Damn, you couldn't tell me that the great Prodigy, rest in peace, was not in that studio with Havoc, recording that album, earlier this year, when P has already, we lost P about 8 years ago. One of the greatest to ever do it. But that album is so incredible. Like I said, it just sounded like he recorded that this year, man. De La Soul, Cabin in the Sky. Once again, the great Trugoy, who we also lost from De La Soul. De La Soul is a group made of 3 members with Paz and Maceo and, Trugoy. We lost Trugoy a couple years back. You know what I mean? But what they did with that album to make, True like he was just here the whole time, man. What a special album. Oh, Cabin in the Sky is incredible. You know what I mean? We had we had a posthumous release of Big L, right? Return of the Harlem King, which was dope. Definitely not one of the greater album releases from Mass Appeal, but I think a lot of that was because it just didn't have a lot of material left over from Big L because, unfortunately, excuse me, he was a victim of violence, just like Biggie, just like Pac, and a lot of people, a lot of artists that we've lost over these, last few decades. But he was taken from us with not a lot of material left, right? But for what they did and put together, I thought I heard everything from Big L. There was some stuff on this joint that nobody heard, and especially the joint that he got with Nas. Woo! They killed that. They killed that, son. Who else? Slick Rick. Now, Slick Rick's album, which was the first of the Legend Has a series, very interesting. Me and Black and Daryl, who's another member of the Greatest F.O.E. We talk about new releases all the time, and man, that was a very weird album. It sounded like Slick Rick to a certain degree, but then he started, he's got some go-go music or some club joints on there, and Nas is also on that album as well, which was dope. I think a joint called Documents. But it just seemed like, it's an okay album, borderline good, definitely not, 4 or 5 mic classic or nothing like that, but I'll tell you this, the albums got better and better as they released because, we saw the Emperor's New Clothes, Raekwon. That's a solid hip hop joint. We're using, me and the fellas like to use the classic Source Bible mic rating, the mic rating. So I would give, I gave Raekwon probably 3.5 mics. I thought it's a dope album. Not great, not a classic or nothing like that. But we did get Ghostface, Supreme Clientele too. I think niggas have slept on this joint. Would I give it 5 mics? No, but I would definitely give it 4 mics. Depending on what day of the week, it could be like 4.25, 4.5. Y'all got to hear this joint like a few times. Let me tell you, he's got some legendary skits on there as well, outside of the great music, because the legendary Ghost Dina, he's always going to give you some solid, super dope shit. But then, it rounds out, with at the end of the year, rounded out with the last entry to the Legend Has a series. My favorite rapper ever, Nas, and my favorite producer ever, DJ Premier, finally came out with their project called Lights Years. And I think there's a lot of people out there that had these super duper godly, probably unrealistic expectations. Maybe about 10% of me had the same, because I probably was sitting here thinking I was about to hear, 1990s formula, as if it's not 2026. But I'll tell you this, when I first heard the album from beginning to end, was I disappointed? No. But I wasn't jumping through the roof like I thought I would. But again, it's also because my ear was trained to, the reason Nas and Premier are my favorite rapper and producer is because of what they made, what they created in the 90s together. And of course, they still went on to become even greater producers and writers, 20, 25 years later, 30 years later now. But like I said, I think a lot of people had this unrealistic expectation of, and this is about to be, the greatest album in the history of the world. No. But it's a hell of a lot better than people have been giving them credit for. And this is something that is so conceptual, it's so hip hop. It really is. But it's like so hip hop for the super, how can I say this? For the super older audience, right? It is very conceptual. It's super dope. It's definitely grown. I think what I have seen a lot of people online say, yo, this album gets better and better the more I hear it. And I see that because I've already heard it 5-6 times in completion. And I promise I love it. I love it now, but I started to like it more and more every time I heard it. And I don't know what it is about albums that do that, because sometimes you hear something once and it's like, oh shit, this is everything, right? But that's when you're dealing with, super all-time, legendary godly classics type of thing, you know what I mean? Where you don't need the time, you don't need the million times to hear it to say, oh, I like this album now, right? So I do think people I do think people on some bullshit, when it comes to Light Years. I think Light Years is without a doubt 4 mics, not even close. And it may even be 4.5, when it's all said and done. So I love it. Love the album. Love them. Man, I wish I could remember all these other just incredible, meanings. It's just been so many great releases this year for hip hop. It's been a beautiful year. You know what I mean? I know I'm missing a whole bunch. Oh man, shit, Conway, Griselda. Oh, like, I don't know, the 12 albums that Westside released this year. That crazy joint that Westside had with Doechii, the remix. I forget the name of the song off the top, but that was amazing. Oh yeah, by the way, Doechii's fucking incredible. Yeah, let's talk about the women, yo. Lady London and Samara Sin, along with Doechii, yo, them three right there, oh, they're gonna take over the world. Oh, they are 3 of the top female artists and female rappers out in the game, and they are going to be incredible. Okay, I mean, I'm telling you right now. Let's see. Hell, let's talk about podcasts. Let's talk about the incredible run that Drink Champs is still on. Let's talk about the incredible run that out of nowhere, the Fat Joe and Jada Kiss show. Joe and Jada is what it's called. I'm sitting there tripping, making shit up. But Joe and Jada, man, first of all, congratulations, because, they're in the same, obviously, industry as we are. Obviously, they are well-known names, and, me and my team and my fellas in the Greatest F.O.E. try to get up there, and we will, right? But that's Fat Joe and Jadakiss, 2 of the most legendary hip-hop names of all time, right? With the craziest stories, and Fat Joe is a fucking lunatic. But I think Joe and Jada is just one of the most entertaining shows I've ever seen in my life. I love it. I watch it every single time. I don't miss a damn episode. But yeah, these are my peers, in an industry that they talk the same thing I talk, which is the love of the hip hop culture. The great Chris Van Vliet. I don't know who knows or who doesn't know him. If you're a big wrestling fan, you know who CVV is. Okay, man, that man is one of my podcast idols. Chris, if you're hearing this, if you're coming across this at any time, I never miss a goddamn show. I watch all your interviews. I listen to them in the car sometimes. Ask CVV, like a mailbox. That was actually the inspiration to me and Q's faux bag episodes. So we got 3 faux bags in, right? So where we answer, random questions from people throughout online, so. But yeah, that was the inspiration. Ask CVV was the inspiration for the faux bag. So thank you, Chris. What else, man? Shit, man. As I said, I've probably said so much already. I didn't want to be so long winded, and this is not a complete episode or nothing. But we're about 26, 27 minutes in, and I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who has been a part of the Greatest F.O.E, everyone who has subscribed, everyone who follows us on all our social media platforms on at the Greatest F.O.E on all TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. We do have 2 different channels that you can subscribe to on YouTube. One is at the Greatest F.O.E, and then we have one called at the F.O.E Clips, TheClips, which is specifically for our shorts. Yes, so we do have 2 separate channels on YouTube. Both doing very, very well. But as I said, man, we're grateful, we're thankful for everybody who's been out here with us, giving us the time, listening in, whether it's on, in their cars or at the gym, or our shows are on 4K, so you can watch them on TV on the big screen at the crib or whatever. But we're grateful, we're thankful. From me, my co-host Q Hefner, Pumpkin, D Classic, Sound Oracle, O Jacobs, Chief Valley, OG Matt from the town, aka Matt Chappelle. You know what I mean? B Rock the superstar. Down to young Tommy, man. Like I said, man, the Greatest F.O.E. All we doing is just getting bigger and better. You know what I mean? The community is growing, and one thing that I will tell you that we're working on this year, because we have been getting the smackdown laid upon us, and don't get it twisted, because we ain't sexist. It just hasn't, we haven't come across the winner as of yet. But we will be crowning and finding the greatest F.O.E, our greatest F.O.E female. Because we need some what's the thing called? Estrogen? Yeah, we need some estrogen, presence up in here. But yeah, there's a lot of great female artists out there, great female wrestlers, and to have the female perspective, on our show to give us some kind of balance. We're all looking forward to it. All right, so once again, man, thank you for everybody watching. Again, follow us on all our platforms at the Greatest F.O.E. And I'll just leave you with this. Thank you for 2025. Thank you for 2024. And I'm going to thank you in advance. Thank you for 2026 and beyond. Yeah, just use a condom. I mean, I haven't used one in decades, but, I'm a married man, with like 35 children, and we're good. But, for all you fools that don't match my lifestyle, use a condom. You know what I'm saying? Stop being irresponsible. Y'all don't even want these kids. What's wrong with y'all? You know what I mean? Like, they made lambskin condoms or some shit. I heard it's like oh, that's the greatest thing you can ever have. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I know I'm just bullshitting, but no, that ass, like, use a condom. What the fuck's wrong with y'all? It's a lot of irresponsible bastards out here. 2026, stay up. Be safe.
But what happened to the love of the art of professional wrestling? All I could think of was, man, let me get my hands on this and I will show them a way. I will show them the way. Okay, we need to find some place that will accept these ideas, that will accept this vision, that will look into the future, that will bring hip-hop into wrestling.